Okay, so today we are going to talk about writing a friendly letter. That's a letter we would send to most people, our moms, our grandmas, our uncles, our cousins, when we wanted to talk to them. Besides calling them and FaceTiming and Zooming and doing all those things, we can write them a letter. And I don't know about you, but I love getting a piece of mail. That's not a bill. I don't want to pay any more bills, but I absolutely love getting a friendly letter or a card with a letter in it. I like those. I bet you do too. All right, so today I want to talk to you about writing a letter. And writing a letter it's easy to do. There's just different parts and procedures we have to follow. All right. Now, when you have a piece of paper, a lot of times you have lines. This one does not have lines on it. And we have our red lines down the sides of our paper, right? Okay, so we know this is on the front, and this one over here is technically on the back, but we can see through it. Okay, so the next thing I do is I kind of find between the lines, between my red lines where we want to keep our writing, I kind of find like the middle, and I am going to mark it about right there. Okay, you don't have to do that, and most of the time I don't, or I put a little bitty mark so I can erase it later, but it kind of helps me keep my spacing, okay? And that's important when we're writing a letter if we're doing it correctly. So the first thing we need to do is I space over just a little bit. I put like a 3-finger indent, a large 3-finger indent, and then we write our date. Well, writing our date is very important. That way we know when we wrote our letter. But can you find out? Do you see something that I did wrong? If you didn't know, if you haven't ever noticed, we are supposed to put a comma between the day and the year for the date. Well, I didn't here, so it looks like it's May 112,020. I don't think there's any May 112,020 that I know of. How about you? So, we have to make sure we have that comma and a space before we write the year. All right? So right there's our our date. We'll write that up here, even though you know that one. That way we can keep track of all the parts that we're talking about. The next part we're going to talk about is our greeting. And our greeting always starts the same. It never changes. Okay? You're always going to write dear. Always. When you write a friendly letter, even some business letters, but always with a friendly letter. Now, when you have the spaces on here, I would skip a space between the date and when you first start. A lot of times this would actually sit on that white line, or excuse me, that blue line at the top, you know, that big white space at the top, then it would sit right there on top of that blue line. So this would be up in that white space. And then we would skip a line, and then this dear would be following. So we have dear, and then we have to decide who we're writing to. Well, today I'm going to write to my mom. Okay, I'm going to put a comma here. This is called the greeting. It always starts the same. This says, hey, this is who I'm talking to, and this is their name. All right, so that's what that means for greeting. And when we meet someone, with our mouth, we greet them. We say hi or hello or how are you doing? And we talk to them. Well, that's kind of what we're doing in this space too. We're just trying to get their attention. Otherwise, would never say hello to them. You just start a conversation or whatever. So when you see somebody, you always say, hi, how are you? Or I am so glad to see you. Well, that's kind of what this is. This is getting their attention so that they know they're talking to you, or that you're talking to them, excuse me. So then I put my 3-finger indent, and then we would start, because we know when we write in paragraphs, we always do the 3-finger indent. So we have our 3 fingers, and then I'm going to start with, I love you. Very simple, very easy. So now I'm going to write to my mom. I want you to know about all the little things you do to show your love to me. Okay, so I'm I'm going to start by telling her a few things. So I want to say, what's one of the things that she does that I know, without saying it, that she loves me? I'm going to say, instead of saying I, because I've already started this sentence with I and this sentence with I, we don't want to keep going I, and or it becomes I. So anyway, we're going to start a different one. So how about all the hugs and kisses you give me mean a lot. Okay? Let's see. When I get hurt, you make me feel better. Okay, so when I get hurt, I bet when you get hurt, I bet your mom helps you feel better too, doesn't she? All right. I enjoy talking with you and sharing my worries. Now, you may not do this with your mom, but I'm older, and so when I call my mom, what we always start and we talk about all the wonderful things going. She always asks me about my kids, and I share her with all those things that they're doing, and then I ask about she and my dad and ask how they're doing, and I try to keep up with that. I like doing that because I don't know if many of you know, but just as we were being pulled away from school, and well, even throughout the year, um, my dad has been diagnosed with cancer, and he is on stage 4, and that's kind of scary to me. And I don't get to see him every day, and so I worry about him. So I want to check on him. So we always talk about that. So we talk about all the fun things, and then we talk about our worries. So that's why I always check on him too, because I worry about him. I also worry about our situation with COVID. And I know that we are doing all the things right. We're staying home and being safe. And that's what we need to do to make sure that we stay safe and our families stay safe. So it's very important to share those worries. If you're worried about something, you should always share with your mom or your dad. You can always share with me if we're together at school, but moms and dads are there to listen and to help protect you, and it makes them feel better and helps them understand that you are seeing and understanding things about our world when you talk to them about it. So that is super important that you do that. So I do that a lot whenever I'm writing my mom or when I'm talking to her. So I enjoy talking with her and sharing my worries. All of these little things and more show me how much you love me. I hope I show you how much I love you too. All right. Now, I could continue on because there's so much more I would like to say to my mom, but this part of the story, this part of the information is called the body. So it's the body of our letter. That's where we share information or our stories or whatever that we're doing, okay? Now, at the end of our letter, we need to say goodbye. Now, that's not just me saying goodbye. That is me having what's called a closing. Okay? And a closing is love, and then a comma. Love, sometimes people write sincerely or truly yours or your friend, or I could write to my mom, your favorite daughter. And I could say that because I'm her only daughter. there's lots of different ways that you could close that letter. And then finally at the bottom, you have what we call our signature, and that is where you write your name. Now, you would print your name on the bottom, okay? Now, sometimes as you get older, I wouldn't print this at all. I would be writing it what we call in manuscript or in cursive, and so then I would continue to write it. But if you write this in printing, then you should print your name too so that everything is uniform. Okay? Oops, marked up my C. So anyway, we have a date, we have a greeting, we have our body, and our closing, and our signature. So those are the parts of a letter. So we're going to be looking today especially at our date, our greeting, and our closing, because those are the ones that use commas, and they're separated with commas for the punctuation so that it helps with the letter and the understanding of the letter, okay? So those are things that we're going to work on today. So good luck with that. I think you'll do great. Just remember where your commas go, because they actually make a little bit of sense. They break up our numbers between the day and the year. They come after the greeting, so like, hi, Mom. And when you're getting ready to go, bye, Mom, or sincerely, love, much love, yours truly, your favorite daughter. Any of those things will work. Now, you're not actually going to say goodbye, but that's basically what you're saying. You're saying it's like as you leave a visit, you give them that hug. That's your closing of a visit. This is a closing of your letter, okay? Those are the 3 things that we're going to be talking about today in your practice.